Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest Take 5. Sonu, we're going to title this one, 5 Reasons to be Thankful. After all, it
Right.
is Thanksgiving week. So we're going to talk about the stock market. We're going to talk about inflation, the Fed, and then we're each going to give a personal reason that we're thankful. So let's start off. Investors are listening to this, Sonu. The time we're recording this, the S&P 500, I bet people don't even realize this. Take a guess to yourself. How much is it up so far to date? Think about it. Think about it. The S&P is up almost 20% year to date. Now,
Wow.
believe me, there's a lot of fearful things happening. We understand that. But if you've been listening to us, we've been saying, listen, stocks are probably going to go higher. The economy's in better shape than people think. Inflation's coming back down. The Fed is likely done. We're going to kind of get in the weeds on some of these things. But just real quickly on the stock market, earnings have been better, right? We might have all-time high record earnings next year. Earnings drive stock gains. Sonu, the bottom line is stocks have been strong. You want to add anything on stocks before we take a look at inflation?
No, I think momentum is good. Anytime we came into this year, everyone was very pessimistic, and there's an
Yes.
argument that I think a lot of people are still pessimistic. But momentum begets momentum. It's good to see stocks up 20%, and that bodes well for next year as well.
Yeah. Reason number one to be thankful. Your portfolios are likely higher than they were at the start of the year. Let's be thankful for that. Let's talk about inflation. Another reason to be thankful. Nobody likes to pay more for things. The truth is, over time, believe me, we have to pay more for things. It's just about that year over year change. So we had 9% year over year consumer price index, what
Mhm.
consumers are paying for most a basket of goods. That recently is closer to like 3%, give or take. Tell me why we should be thankful for lower inflation.
No, we're getting lower inflation amidst a still strong economy and relatively low unemployment. Unemployment rate is below 4%. That's well below historical averages. The economy has grown 2.9%. And yes, inflation's come down, right? And there are
Mhm.
some quirks to how official inflation data is measured. There's a reason it's still elevated. Like 3% inflation is still high.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is because of rental inflation, right? And just a quirk of how the Bureau of Labor Statistics measures it. Right now, if
Mhm.
you exclude that, right, a lot of us are homeowners, right? We don't experience rental inflation. In fact, 66% of Americans don't, are homeowners,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And if you take CPI, Consumer Price Index, excluding shelter, that's running at 1.5%,
Hmm.
right, over the last year. Even if you just take the last 3 months, 1.6%. If you take the last 6 months, 1.5, 1.6%, right? So inflation's come down in a big way, and thankful for that for sure.
No, absolutely. Now, kind of part two, if you will, to inflation coming back down. And honestly, more than most people were expecting. We expected inflation to come down, but I think it surprised a lot of economists that were looking at some different things that we were looking at. The Fed, to put this whole full circle, the Fed hiked interest rates. Remember, everybody? I know you do, from 0% up over 5%. Very aggressive. Why did they do that? To break the back of a generational spike in inflation that we had after COVID when the economy opened back up, all the terrible war that took place, obviously, spiking energy prices globally, and supply chain issues. A lot of those things are working their way through the system, Sonu. So if inflation is really no longer a problem, the Fed's probably done hiking, right? And why is that something to be thankful for?
No, I think, well, for one thing, high interest rates. Remember, we spent a decade complaining that savers are not getting any money at the bank,
Yeah.
right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
the other, that's a, glass half full look of, higher interest rates, right? But higher interest rates have crimped the housing market, right? It's crushed, housing activity in the existing home sales market. There's no inventories, none of that, right? But now with inflation coming down, yes, for one thing, they're not going to hike anymore. I think they're done with that. But
Mm-hmm.
we can start talking about potential rate cuts, right? And the market tends to sniff this out, as you always like to say, well in advance of the actual time when it happens, right?
Yeah.
So we could see interest rates go down. That's going to be a big positive for the economy. I mean, just take housing itself. The housing market will benefit from lower rates.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. So again, some reasons to be thankful, right? The stock market's had a really good year. The economy's still solid. Inflation's coming back, and the Fed is likely done hiking. Maybe even some cuts into next year. We'll get there when we get there. We've got about a minute to go, Sonu. I guess I'll go first. Things to be thankful for, right? Overall, family is quite healthy, so that health is important. My job, I have a lot of fun working with Carson Group and working with you every single day, Sonu. And I'm thinking my daughter just turned 16. We just got her a car, so I'll be honest. little nervous about this, letting her go off and drive this Jeep I just bought her. But in a way, it's going to be awfully nice not to have to cart her and drive her all around. So I guess I'm thankful. But what I hear from people, and I can believe this, they say, you're going to miss it. Like, I drive her to school, and usually I get 2 words out of her, and she's yelling at me about something. But someday I'm sure I'm going to miss that personal time. Sony, you've got 30 seconds. What are you hopeful, or not hopeful for? Thankful for?
Thankful for it. No, I'm
Yeah.
mostly the same thing. I'm very thankful for the fact that I get to do this with you. I love the work we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really we, right? It's not just me. It's
Yep.
the work all of us do, right? I'm thankful to Chelsea, our producer, for doing this with us and getting this thing done week after week. And thankful to all our team members. And I get to spend time with my family as well. It's awesome watching the kids grow up, going back and forth to school every day, dropping them. So my job is flexible enough, and thankful for that.
No, absolutely. So with all of that, this is the latest Carson's Take 5 reasons to be thankful. Take care, everyone. See you next time.